Hey there, welcome to Mondays with Mike here on this Monday, April Fool's Day, 1 week before the total solar eclipse that we'll talk about here in a moment. I want to say, hope you had a wonderful Easter. It turned out to be a pretty nice weekend. I know it was a little on the muggy side with a little more cloud cover than, perhaps earlier expected, but I think it turned out to be pretty nice. No big problems. Will there be big problems for the eclipse? Oh my goodness, I wish I had better news. So let's go ahead and take a look at some graphics here for you. So when we take a look at the outlook, this is what we would like to see. Is the moon passing directly in front of the sun, but unfortunately we're going to have a tough time seeing that. Let's take a look here at this, some of the timing of everything for Houston. Now, provided that the clouds clear out, then we will see 94%, give or take, of the sun covered up by the moon, which is more, by the way, than we had last time. The last eclipse we had in October, depending on where you were in southeast Texas, it was about 85% of the sun, I think like 80 to 85%, which was still pretty cool to look at, but 94% is a whole lot better. But I think even when there's a sliver of sunshine coming through, believe it or not, it's a big difference between 5% sun and 0 sun. So what they're seeing out toward the west is going to be much more dramatic if the clouds clear. The eclipse will begin at 12:20 in the afternoon. Again, this is Monday, April the 8th. The greatest coverage will be here in Houston about 1:40 p.m., and then it will all be over with by 3. But really the dramatic part, the most interesting part, happens between around 1:20 and 2 p.m. coming up on Monday. Elsewhere across the state, actually Texas is the first state across the USA that will be in the path of the solar eclipse. Of course, it'll happen in Mexico before that. But down around the Eagle Pass area, they will be the first ones to see it. And then it moves on over Kerrville area, Killeen area, and then past Waco, and it will pass just off to the east of Dallas. So that's why a lot of people are flocking to places like Waco. Fredericksburg is directly in the path of where this is going to be passing. And so that's why those places have been booked up. In some places, people made these reservations, literally not just months in advance, but maybe a year or more in advance out there in parts of the Texas Hill Country and into northeast Texas, because it is prime viewing. Or at least it would be prime viewing should the weather cooperate. So where does it go after Texas? Well, the dark circle there shows where the shadow is going to be and where the sun is going to be completely blocked. And again, that takes us through Texas. It passed over Kerrville, over Killeen and Waco, past McKinney, Texas, and over to Texarkana. From there, it moves across Arkansas, southern Illinois, much of Indiana and Ohio. It'll be visible from places like Buffalo, New York, and northern parts of New England, and then moves away. Now, keep in mind, this area of what we call totality is only about 70 miles across, which is why it's such a big deal, because very few people, fall in that little narrow band. Now, it is interesting, though, to point out, though, that basically the entire country will be able to see a partial solar eclipse, but the area that's under that total eclipse is going to be limited. So let's talk about cloud cover, and this is what is going to mess everything up potentially if we do have clouds. So at the top of your screen here, we're looking at the date, and as we take a look ahead at Texas here coming up on this Friday, this Saturday, you'll notice Saturday, April the 6th, we start to see increasing cloud cover around the state of Texas, and then it stays cloudy through Sunday, and this is the outlook so far for Monday. That is the outlook for Monday, unfortunately. So what happens in this scenario? I wanted to pull up a different map here for you. So what happens in this scenario? What if we do actually have cloud cover like that? Well, it would really affect everything. I didn't mean to show you this. I meant to show you this. That's the 7-day, by the way. And you'll see that at the end of the 7-day, well, first of all, you'll see we're going to have beautiful weather Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. But at the end of the 7-day, you will see Sunday, which is the day before the eclipse, and that's when we are looking cloudy. This is what I wanted to show you, which was another view of this, which is the GFS computer model, Global Forecast System. This is the American model. And the American model right now is showing a front. We're beginning today, or tonight, with this front moving into the area and bringing us a brief round of some rain, slight chance for some thunderstorms, especially west and northwest of Houston. High pressure moves in behind it. Now, if we had weather like this, with that high, directly overhead for the eclipse, it would be absolutely ideal conditions. I mean, beyond ideal. It would be just perfect, but that's not the way things are shaping up, because high pressure is going to move through, bring us a few days of some amazing weather, and then leaving behind the chance for some rain coming up on Sunday, and then here we go into Monday. Now, if this scenario plays out, what the GFS is showing, it would be like a major bummer, not just here in Texas, but actually up into parts of, like Arkansas and Missouri, other places where it's going to be visible. Let me go ahead and pull up. I'm going to change this, what you're looking at right now. I want to change this to the Euro and just give you an idea of what the European model is showing us. So let me go ahead and fast forward here. And I'm going to go in the system here, and instead of GFS, I'm going to pick the European computer model and its look at cloud cover. And here we go. Where's the good old Euro? So here we go. Here's, let it load up here for just a second. Here we go. So here is the Euro global 9-kilometer forecasts. Okay, so we're waiting for the clouds to load up here, and then I will also do the precipitation with the Euro. So here we go. And the reason I'm showing you this is that I want you, it's always important, we go through this in hurricane season, right, where especially when you're looking at a forecast that's 10 days out, 7 days out, something like that, you don't want to just trust one model. But when you have major models that are in agreement, then you can have a little bit higher confidence. So what you're seeing right now is the European model cloud and precipitation outlook, and you will see that it is almost identical to the GFS, showing thick cloud cover and rain for our area and for most of the area of totality coming up on Monday. Is that a bummer or what? Oh my goodness. Now, could both of them be wrong? Maybe. It doesn't look likely, though, because they've been pretty consistent on this for the last several model runs. It's something that we'll keep an eye on for you for the rest of the week. But for right now, this is the way things are looking, unfortunately. So what would happen? What would we be looking at if we had a cloudy sky and rain? Well, I think it would still be kind of eerie, kind of spooky, a little bit odd, that we would go from what looks to be kind of dark daytime to all of a sudden basically nighttime for a few minutes and then back to regular rain. I mean, would it be extremely noticeable? Probably not as much, but I still have a feeling it would be a bit on the eerie side. But for something that's not going to happen again for another 20 years, this would really be a big disappointment. It looks like the best chance across the country to see the eclipse, because I can go ahead and change the camera view here as well. And notice here how 2 p.m. Monday, April the 8th, this is the European model, is showing rain up here in Texarkana, rain across Arkansas, rain across Tennessee, rain in areas here where it's also going to be visible, like southern parts of Illinois. And then it does clear out in Ohio and across parts of upstate New York and over to around Maine. So it may be those areas that get the luck this time around, and Texas maybe not so much. So what a shame. I did want to let you know here, back on camera, that NASA is taking part in a mission that's actually being run by scientists from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, where I've been before. I had a friend who went there. It's in Daytona Beach. And they are launching rockets during the eclipse. Why are they launching rockets during the eclipse? Well, because they want to take what they call soundings. They basically want to take atmospheric measurements in the ionosphere. Now, the ionosphere is one of the outermost layers of the atmosphere. It really sort of marks the edge of sort of where the air is and where space is, the vacuum of space. And in between, you have ions. You basically have the thin part of the atmosphere that's exposed to the cosmic particles that are coming, not cosmic, the solar particles that are coming in, the solar wind. So the things that, for example, cause the northern lights and things like that. If you are of a certain age, like my age, you might remember AM radio. And if you listen to AM radio at night and there are thunderstorms around, you've probably experienced this, that when there is lightning, you'll hear a sudden tsh, like static in the AM radio signal. And that's the ionosphere. So AM radio signals can be heard from much farther away than FM. So if you want to listen to an FM radio station, because this has happened all the time before we had streaming. If you were in Houston and you could listen to your favorite radio station, like I'm listening to classic rock or whatever, and it lasts until you get closer to Beaumont and then it starts to fade away, and then you got to find another new station. Well, AM radio, especially at night, if the weather is good, you can hear AM radio stations from hundreds of miles away. You can also use things like, those ham radio operators. I mean, they could bounce their signal basically off the ionosphere and talk to people that are, I think, like 1,000 miles away, I mean, very far away. And that's all because of the effects of the ionosphere outside of our atmosphere. So NASA is launching this program. I'm telling you, the government and scientists love acronyms. This is the APEP, which is the Atmospheric Perturbations Around Eclipse Path. These rockets are going to be launched from Virginia. That doesn't happen very often, right? Most of the time you think rockets, okay, they're launched from South Texas, from SpaceX now, but they're also typically launched from Florida, because when you put something into orbit, you want it near the equator. But these are not going into orbit. These are just being launched up a couple of hundred miles up into the atmosphere to take those measurements of the ionosphere. Then they're going to come back down. And I assume there's a parachute that's going to bring them back down to the Earth. These are not gigantic rockets, and they're not going into orbit. But it's really, really interesting. And they were actually launched during the last eclipse, which moved across Texas too, back in October of 2023, just last fall. And they took measurements. That time they launched them from New Mexico. This time they're going to be launched from Virginia. So what they're going to do is they measure, because during the eclipse, if you take a measurement right in the area that's in the shadow, then the ionized particles, which are like protons and electrons and any sort of an ion that has a charge to it, anything that's coming from the sun is actually going to be shut off for those 3 or 4 minutes that part of the atmosphere is in the shadow. So they want to see what kind of effects of temperature, of electrical charge, and things like that happen in that part of the ionosphere during the shadow effect from the eclipse. It's very cool. It's very interesting. We might be able to learn things about how solar storms can affect the upper parts of the atmosphere and our communication equipment, and lots of other really cool things. So that'll be happening during the eclipse. But obviously, we're going to bring you updates every day. We also do have a special page on if you're not watching us here on Fox Local, you might be watching this on YouTube or another platform. Download our Fox Local Smart TV app, because on Fox Local we have a whole section that's dedicated to Eclipse, and you can just use the remote just like it's a website, and you go down and you'll find 2024 Eclipse and then all of our eclipse coverage there, including our weather forecasts. I also wanted to tell you that later on this week, Thursday, this is complete change of subject, but on Thursday, the first hurricane season forecast is going to be released by Dr. Philip Klotzbach and his team at Colorado State University.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a big number. On average, the average hurricane season has 14 named storms. It has 7 to 8 hurricanes, and it has 3 major hurricanes. I am going to bet that we see a huge number, somewhere like 20, 22 named storms, maybe 14 or 15 hurricanes, and maybe 5 major hurricanes or 6. I'm telling you, the number is going to be huge for a couple of reasons. One is that the El Nino is going to come to an end. El Nino tends to inhibit the number of storms that we have in the Atlantic because it changes the flow of the jet stream. So with that going away, that would favor the development of more storms. And we also have very warm water in the Atlantic. It's been running like 1 to 2 degrees above average for the last couple of seasons. It's one of the reasons why we had an active season last year, despite the fact that we had an El Nino. So I would expect a big, scary number. And you know it's going to be all over the media. I mean, obviously, I will have to talk about it. I'll try to put it in as much perspective as possible, that it doesn't matter how many storms we have as long as they don't hit Texas, and that we have to be prepared the exact same way every single year, whether there's a prediction for 1 storm or 40 storms. But I will tell you that it's going to get a lot of press. It's going to be all over the news, everywhere. So prepare for it. That's coming out Thursday at 9 a.m. local time, and it's going to be a big, big number. So make sure that you are ready for that. The other thing I wanted you to know is that there's going to be a good chance for severe weather today. That severe weather chance includes places like Dallas, Fort Worth, like Oklahoma City, St. Louis, and back over to southern sections of Indiana. And this is an area that could see some large hail today, like 1 to 2 inch hail, maybe even larger, and damaging winds, and even the chance for some tornadoes. Look, this is severe weather season. This is like, we're getting into the heart of severe weather season. And so it's not unusual to have this kind of, really dangerous weather for places like Dallas and Oklahoma City. This is like tornado season, right? In this case, the main threat is going to be hail. So we will keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, what do I need you to know? We've got a team that's going to be heading out, weather permitting, to the eclipse viewing areas, if it's viewable or not. So we have Melissa Wilson is going up to Waco because she went to college there. She went to Baylor, and I don't know if they're going to be on the Baylor campus or not. It'd be cool if they were. So Melissa's going to be in Waco. We have meteorologist Allison Gargaro. She's going to be in Fredericksburg, which is right on the center of where this totality is going to be. So cloudy or not, it's going to be a pretty interesting place to be. Let's just hope, fingers crossed, that there's a little break in the clouds, that we can see it while she's there. So anyway, that'll do it for today's Mondays with Mike. We do have some great weather, again, headed our way, as I kind of showed you a little bit of that sneak peek of the 7-day forecast before. They got interviews going in the studio. You might be able to hear Dave Morales out there. He's interviewing Jesse Eisenberg right now. Anyway, hope you all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in for Mondays with Mike. Stay tuned for updates on the eclipse weather forecast, because fingers crossed it gets a little bit better. Watch out for a brief chance for thunderstorms late tonight through early Tuesday, and then enjoy the weather for the rest of the week. And remember, prepare yourself for the media hype machine and onslaught coming up on Thursday with the announcement of that Colorado State forecast. I imagine it's going to be a very large number. Have a great day, everybody.